Hello, my name is XONEVANT. Today is Sunday, April the 20th, and this is your Daily Dose. So this actually took place in my early high school days. I was actually dating somebody at the time. We had a lot of friends, a group of friends. We got together and we decided to go to a theme park. And I cannot remember if it was Carowinds or King's Dominion, but it was one of those, right? It was one of those, type of theme parks. And what you may not know about me is that I really don't like theme parks. I mean, if I go to one, it's for the experience, for the atmosphere, to kind of soak it all in. But I'm not one of these kind of like thrill seekers who loves to ride roller coasters and be slung around in roller coasters at high speeds. And I don't like my body to be doing crazy stuff like that. And really what freaks me out about a roller coaster is knowing that I do not have full control over the situation. You see what I mean? That somebody down there with a lever who's making $12 an hour or whatever to flip some switches, he's kind of got my life in his hands, and then you have to worry about the engineering of the actual roller coaster itself, and if it's holding up, if there's a screw loose somewhere. There's too many unknowns there for me, and my mind, my brain can't process it. So I fear that more, honestly, than anything else. But I do have a natural fear of heights and going fast and things of that nature. So I'm not a thrill seeker, but I do love to enjoy the atmosphere of these type of places. So we all get up super early in the morning. We're making our trek down there, and we decide to stop at a Hardee's to grab some food because our logic was, let's eat now because we can eat Hardee's food for cheap, right? Because once you get inside of one of these theme parks, everything is so ridiculously overpriced. Let's just eat now, save some money throughout the day, and then we'll eat again on the way home, and that sort of thing. So we get in there, and I'm kind of jazzed up about eating, and then I got to thinking, and I think it was somebody in our group mentioned, are you going to ride a ride today? Are you going to do it? And I got to thinking, well, what if I decide to ride a ride today, like a roller coaster ride? What if that happens? I don't really want Hardee's food on the good old gut. You see what I mean? Because I ain't trying to have that come back out. You know what I mean? So I said, you know what, I'm just going to pass on food right now. And then once I get into the theme park and, get my courage up or not get my courage up based on whatever happens there, then I'll eat. I'll just take the hit and eat at the theme park. My logic was if I don't eat now and I don't eat on the way home, I can take that same amount of money and just eat one time at the theme park. So we eventually get there, we're doing our thing, and it got to be about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I was super hungry. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind, this ain't happening today. Like, I'm not going to be riding any rides. But then I started noticing the price of all the food and all that kind of stuff. And I got to thinking, I was like, well, it's around lunchtime. It's around 1 o'clock. I can wait until 5 o'clock. Because that's when we were going to be leaving, right? At 5 o'clock, we were going to be booking it out of there. I said, I'll just wait until 5 o'clock. It's just a couple of hours. No big deal. Now, it actually turned out that it was a super big deal because I'm walking around. I have no food on my stomach, right? It's hot outside. You guys know that most of these theme parks, you're typically just walking around on either concrete or stones or something like that. So not only do you have the sun, bearing down on you from above, but it's just reflecting off the surface underneath you too. It's just really humid and hot. And what's actually happening is that I'm becoming super dehydrated, and I don't really start feeling the effects of it until we're about to leave the theme park. So we ended up heading back toward the gate around 5 o'clock. That was kind of the plan because we had all split up throughout the day, right? And the plan was to meet back up at the gate around 5 o'clock, and we were going to go ahead and head out of there. And I was with my date, and there was a couple other people in my little group. And I remember walking back. Now, I do remember this, and this is going to seem a little bit strange because I was completely conscious, like I knew what was going on. But I started just acting like a jerk to everybody in my little group, which is very rare for me. I mean, I can be a jerk, I guess, if pushed to the limit. But typically, I'm a pretty happy, jolly guy for the most part, unless I'm pushed in that direction. But I mean, you're at a theme park with your friends. There's no need to be upset at anybody. And there was no need to be upset at anybody that day. But I was starting to feel the effects of just not eating and not being hydrated and just being groggy, I guess. So it's kind of like walking around in a haze, right? I mean, I'm completely conscious of what I'm saying and doing, but I also feel like I don't really have much control over it either, if that makes any sense. So we ended up getting in the car, we're making our way home, and, obviously we're planning on stopping and eating, and it's about 30 minutes away where we want to actually stop and eat. But, when you're leaving a theme park, there's a lot of, hassles with traffic and stuff like that. So it ended up being more like an hour away just because we got stuck in a bunch of traffic. And I ended up going to sleep. I was super, super sleepy. And everybody just thought, well, it's just because, he's been walking around all day. I mean, that's just obvious, right? So I ended up going to sleep, and I slept for a good, like I said, 30 minutes, probably 30 to 45 minutes, probably something like that. And then they woke me up. When they woke me up, I pretended that I was hopping out of an airplane. Okay? So I'm getting out of the back of this vehicle, and obviously we're in a parking lot, and there's concrete underneath us. But I pretended that there was no concrete there, and I just hopped out like I had a parachute on my back. And they said that I said things like, I'm jumping, I'm not scared and stuff like that. And they just thought that I was being comical me, just trying to make everybody laugh. And so I jumped out, and obviously I'm running on the concrete, but I'm telling them that I'm flying through the air. And it's kind of like if you've ever seen soccer and people score the goals and then they run around with their arms stretched out in both directions, kind of like an airplane. That's what I was doing, but on this concrete, like in the middle of the parking lot. And then I just hopped up in one spot, like in one place, and landed, and pretending like I had landed on the earth, I guess. And I was like, yeah, I made it, bro. And I was screaming in this parking lot. And again, they just thought that I was just trying to make everybody laugh and be funny. But it was obviously not the case. I was very delusional. You see what I mean? And like I said, I have no memory of this whatsoever. This was just what was told to me, after the fact. So, we kind of just laugh, ha, funny. We brush it off, and then we head inside and we place the orders. We're getting our food, and it's my turn to pay. So I go up there and I'm paying the lady, and I handed her a $10 bill, and then I fell down. I just fell back, straight back. They said it was if, it looked like somebody had just nailed my feet to the ground, and then I just fell back, right? And I just went smack, dude, right on the floor there, and I started having a seizure. I started jerking and convulsing and stuff like that, and obviously they called the ambulance, and they came and got me and, got me to the hospital and that sort of stuff. And that's really all I remember is, like, I remember leaving the theme park vaguely, like it's a haze, and then I don't remember all that time in between. So, it's a good 2.5 hours, 3 hours there where my mind cannot remember. I do remember waking up in the hospital. My girlfriend was sitting over there. Everybody was kind of in the room with me, but that's the only thing that I can remember is from leaving the theme park to waking up in the hospital. Even the people who were in the ambulance with me said that while they were, they had me strapped down to like a gurney or whatever, and they said that I kept saying things like, I don't want to ride this ride. I'm scared of this ride. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to ride this roller coaster. And I guess that my mind was still in the state because, I'm riding down a road and there's the sirens going off and all that kind of stuff. And I guess my mind was just tripping, man. It thought that I was on a roller coaster ride, and that had been the thing that I did not want to go on the whole day. So I was like whining and complaining, in the ambulance ride going to the hospital, like, get me off this ride. And of course I felt strapped in too, and that's the first thing you do when you get on a roller coaster is they strap you in with like the seatbelt or whatever. And so my mind was thinking that I was still at, I guess, a theme park. It was crazy, man. And I have no memory of those 2.5 to 3 hours of my life. And that's super scary, man. Like, it's funny to look back on it now because, I was acting like I was parachuting out of a plane and all that kind of stuff. But it's not at the same time, man. It's a scary condition. A lot of people have seizures. That wasn't my only seizure either. I've had more. Maybe I can talk about those, in a later show. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Talk to you soon.